Welcome to my channel. If you like what we are doing here, please click the like and subscribe button to help us grow. Today we will be talking about two young men, Daniel and Caleb, who grew up together in the same neighborhood. Despite their similar beginnings, their choices and perspectives on life led them down very different paths. One took control of his destiny, while the other allowed external influences to dictate his journey. In the bustling streets of Cape Town, South Africa, where the aroma of street food mingles with the salty breeze from the Atlantic, where Long Street pulses with energy, alive with musicians, street performers, and the chatter of diverse cultures, two young men stood at the crossroads of destiny. Daniel and Caleb had grown up in the same neighborhood, attended the same schools, and shared dreams of success. Yet their journeys could not have been more different. Daniel came from a stable home. His parents provided everything he needed: quality education, financial security, and unwavering support. He was the golden child, the one with every opportunity laid at his feet. Yet, despite having all these advantages, he found himself in a constant struggle, torn between his own aspirations and the expectations placed upon him. His parents envisioned him as a doctor. His friends saw him as someone who should take the safest route to success, and society whispered that following one's passion was reckless. Daniel was trapped in a gilded cage, his choices dictated by the voices around him, and he lacked the courage to defy them. Unlike Daniel, Caleb had none of these privileges. He came from a broken home, where financial struggles were the norm and dreams were seen as luxuries rather than necessities. He watched Daniel with a mix of admiration and envy, wondering what it would be like to have the kind of support that Daniel took for granted. But while Caleb longed for Daniel's security, he refused to let his circumstances define him. He had no safety net, no guiding hand, but he had something else: an unshakable determination to create his own path. He spent nights researching filmmaking, saving every spare cent to buy equipment, and teaching himself through online resources. The odds were against him, yet he persisted. As the years passed, the difference between the two men became glaring. Daniel, burdened by the weight of other people's expectations, constantly wavered. He jumped from one career to another, never settling, never satisfied. His identity was lost in a sea of opinions, and his achievements, if they could be called that, were merely echoes of what others had wanted for him. He had the talent, he had the intelligence, but he lacked the courage to steer his own ship. He became a shadow, a wandering soul, desperately seeking validation, yet never finding fulfillment. Caleb, however, thrived. Though his journey was not without hardship, he remained steadfast. He faced criticism, doubt, and even failure, but he never let these deter him. He learned from setbacks, adjusted his sails, and continued navigating toward his vision. Years later, his films gained recognition. His stories resonated with people, touching lives in ways he had never imagined. Caleb was not just successful, he was fulfilled. He lived a life of purpose, passion, and self-determination. Daniel had signed up for a prestigious business conference, eager to learn and hopefully find a way to break free from his stagnant career. The event was buzzing with excitement as entrepreneurs and industry leaders from all over the country gathered to exchange ideas. As Daniel scanned the list of guest speakers, his heart nearly stopped. The main speaker, the one everyone had come to see, was none other than Caleb, his childhood friend. The name that once belonged to a struggling dreamer was now being celebrated as a national success story. Throughout the conference, Daniel found it nearly impossible to get close to Caleb. Security, assistants, and eager attendees surrounded him at all times. The event schedule was packed, and Caleb was always on the move, engaged in discussions or on stage delivering powerful insights. Finally, towards the end of the conference, Daniel caught a lucky break. He managed to find Caleb alone in a hallway just before he was about to leave. Caleb was momentarily taken aback when he recognized Daniel. They exchanged pleasantries before Daniel, filled with curiosity and admiration, asked, "How did you do it? How did you achieve all of this?" As they talked, Daniel could not hide the regret in his voice. "You always knew what you wanted, didn't you?" he asked. Caleb smiled. "Not always, but I always knew one thing. I had to be the captain of my own life." Daniel nodded, his eyes filled with a realization that had come too late. He had spent his life allowing others to steer his ship, and now he found himself lost at sea, uncertain of how to reclaim control. A week later, Daniel wandered the streets of Cape Town, lost in thought. The vibrant city lights reflected off the wet pavement as he moved aimlessly, his mind racing. The sound of street performers, laughter, and distant waves crashing against the shore blurred into background noise. He stopped by a bookstore, drawn in by an old architectural magazine displayed in the window. Flipping through its pages, he felt a spark, something he hadn't felt in years. Inspiration surged through him as he realized that architecture was more than just a childhood dream. It was his calling. That night, he went home, pulled out his old sketchbook, and began to design. The lines and curves flowed effortlessly, as if he had never stopped. For the first time in a long while, he felt like himself again. This was what he loved. This was who he was. Months passed, and Daniel slowly reclaimed his passion. He faced criticism, confusion, and doubt, but he pressed on. He enrolled in night classes for architecture, balancing his job and studies. For the first time, he felt alive. It was not an easy journey, but it was his own. He was no longer a puppet controlled by the expectations of others. He was finally holding the strings. Years later, he and Caleb met again, this time not as a failed man and a successful friend, but as two individuals who had chosen to live life on their own terms. Daniel had become a respected architect, designing structures that bore his signature, his essence, his story. Life, as they say, waits for no one. The lesson Daniel learned that night was one that Caleb had embraced years before. While advice and guidance are valuable, the ultimate decision always rests in our hands. We alone must bear the weight of our choices, and we alone must carve our path. Daniel's story serves as a testament that it is never too late to reclaim your dreams, while Caleb's unwavering confidence propelled him to success early. Daniel's delayed realization did not prevent him from making a meaningful transformation. Both stories teach us that whether we start strong or struggle with indecision, the key is taking control before it's too late. We learn that listening to others is not wrong, but failing to listen to ourselves is the greatest mistake. Wisdom lies in discernment, in knowing when to take guidance and when to trust our instincts. The world will always have opinions, but only you have the power to shape your destiny. At the end of the day, success is not measured by how well we conform to others' expectations, but by how courageously we pursue our own dreams. And so, the question remains, are you the captain of your life, or are you merely a passenger, drifting wherever the tide takes you? If you enjoyed this story, please click the like and subscribe button to help us grow. Stay safe and cheers.